Emma got a raise last April. 2%. Her employer called it a cost of living adjustment. Her manager shook her hand. HR sent an email with the new figure. She felt, for approximately 11 days, that things were moving in the right direction. Then the rent review letter arrived. 4%. Emma's raise added £44 to her monthly take-home. Her rent increase removed £88. She is £44 per month worse off than she was before the raise. This is not a coincidence. This is not bad luck. This is a structural mechanism that has been operating in the background of every salary in every renting household in every English-speaking city, and it has 4 components that almost nobody has ever named out loud. Meet Emma, 28 years old, niche nurse, £2,200 a month take home, 2 raises in 3 years, £44 worse off after both of them. Meet James, 31 years old, healthcare administration, £2,100 less than Emma, builds £390 of real margin every single month. 4 calculations Emma has never run. 1 calculation James made 18 months ago on a Thursday evening, but here is what nobody tells you. Emma's number is different from James's number, and your number is different from both of them. By the end of this video you will know exactly how to calculate yours. Today we show you exactly what they were. Emma has run the numbers before. She opened a spreadsheet 18 months ago. She entered her salary, her rent, her bills. She looked at what was left. The number was smaller than she expected, but not catastrophic. She set a savings target of £200 per month. She has hit that target 4 times in 18 months. Here is the thing Emma cannot fully explain. Her salary is higher now than it was when she set that target. She has received 2 pay reviews. Both went in her direction. And yet the money at the end of every month feels tighter than it did when she opened that spreadsheet. Last month her take-home was the highest it has ever been. Her savings account has £43 in it. She is not spending recklessly. She tracks her outgoings. She knows roughly where the money goes. She has read the articles. She understands in principle that rent increases and inflation exist. What she does not understand is the gap. The specific, persistent, growing gap between what she earns and what remains. The gap has a name. It has 4 components, and once you see them you cannot stop seeing them. James saw them 18 months ago on a Thursday evening. He ran a calculation that took him 20 minutes. He made 1 decision the following week. His savings have grown every month since. 4 components, 1 calculation. That is what we are covering today. Emma never ran 4 calculations. If she had run any one of them, just one everything would look different. First, the rent velocity gap. Why rent grows at a structurally different rate than salary, and why this gap compounds silently every single year. Second, the raise illusion revisited. What Emma's last 2 raises actually delivered after tax, after rent increase, and after inflation. The real number will change how you see every future pay review. Third, the location trap. How staying in the wrong neighborhood is a financial decision that compounds against you every year without a single conscious choice. Fourth, the negotiation asymmetry. Why landlords negotiate every year and most employees negotiate once every 3. Let us begin. Emma's rent has increased 3 times in 4 years. Year 1, 4%. Year 2, 6%. Year 3, 5%. Her salary has increased twice in the same period. Year 2, 2%. Year 4, 2%. On paper this looks like a manageable difference. 2% here, 4% there. Small numbers, annual adjustments, normal life. But this is not how compounding works. Emma's starting rent 4 years ago was £950 per month. After 3 increases it is now £1,092, an increase of £142 per month. £1,700 £104 per year. Gone, before a single discretionary decision is made. Emma's starting salary 4 years ago was £34,000 gross. After 2 increases, it is now £36,440. The net take-home increase over 4 years is approximately £132 per month. Her rent has increased by £142. Her take-home has increased by £132. Emma has received 2 pay rises and is £10 per month worse off than she was 4 years ago. This is the rent velocity gap. It is not dramatic, it does not arrive all at once. It accumulates across 4% here and 2% there until one day you open a spreadsheet and realise your salary has been running uphill on a treadmill that your landlord controls the speed of. The average UK private rent increased by 8.3% in the 12 months to March 2026. The average UK salary increase in the same period was 5.6%. That is a 2.7 percentage point gap, running every year, in your landlord's favour. In Australia, the gap is larger. In major cities Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, average rents increased between 12 and 15% in the most recent annual period. Average wage growth sat at 4%. In the United States, the median asking rent increased 41% between 2021 and 2026. Median wage growth over the same period was 18%. The rent velocity gap is not a UK problem. It is not an Australian problem. It is the structural condition of being an ordinary earner in every English-speaking city in the world right now. James understood this 4 years ago before he signed his current lease. He did not sign for the cheapest flat he could find. He signed for the flat where the rent velocity risk was lowest. One bus stop further from the centre. A building managed by a private landlord rather than a corporate property company. A fixed review clause negotiated into the tenancy agreement. Emma never knew rent velocity was a negotiable variable. Emma's last raise was 2% on a salary of £35,700. 2% of £35,700 is £714 per year. £59.50 per month gross. After income tax and national insurance at Emma's marginal rate, the net monthly increase is approximately £44. £44. Emma's rent increased by £58 the same month. Her energy bills increased by an average of £12 across the year following the review. Her council tax increased by £5. Her commute costs increased by £4 following a rail fare adjustment. Her raise delivered £44. Her fixed costs increased by £79. Emma is £35 per month worse off than she was before the raise. She does not know this. She has never run the net calculation. Her HR department presented the raise as a percentage. Her payslip showed the new gross figure. Nobody sent her a letter explaining that after the marginal tax rate, the rent review, the energy adjustment, and the council tax increase, the raise had a net value of negative £35. Nobody does that. Nobody is required to do that. Nobody wants you to do that calculation yourself. Because if you did, you would not feel the raise was progress. You would feel it was a managed decline dressed in the language of reward. James runs this calculation every year in February 6 weeks before his employer's annual review cycle opens. He calls it his real raise number. He works out what net monthly improvement he needs to break even against the previous year's cost increases. Then he adds the minimum genuine progress he requires. That becomes his number. That is what he goes into the review asking for. He has never accepted a percentage below his real raise number, not because he is aggressive, because he knows the number and his manager does not expect him to. Emma goes into reviews grateful for whatever she receives. The difference between them is one calculation runs 6 weeks before the conversation. Emma lives 12 minutes walk from Manchester city centre. She chose the location when she started her job 4 years ago. Proximity to work felt like a practical decision. It saved commute time,
It felt efficient. Her colleagues lived further out and complained about trains. What Emma did not calculate is that Manchester city centre has one of the highest rental velocity rates in the UK.
Central Manchester rents increased 9.4% in the last 12 months alone. Properties within 1 mile of the centre command a velocity premium. They attract corporate property investors, who review rents more aggressively, more frequently, and with more market data than individual private landlords. Emma is paying a location premium of approximately £160 per month compared to an equivalent property 2 miles further out. She is not aware of this. She has never compared the rent on her flat to equivalent properties outside the velocity zone. Over 4 years, Emma has paid £7,680 in location premium. She did not choose the location trap consciously. She chose convenience. The trap was already there. The location trap works across every English-speaking city. In London it is the difference between zones 1 and 2 and zones 3 and 4. In Sydney it is inner suburbs versus middle ring. In Toronto it is the downtown core versus the suburbs with rail access.
In every case, the highest velocity zone is closest to employment. And in every case, the people paying the highest velocity premium are the people who need their salary to work hardest. James lives 4 miles from his workplace. He takes a tram. The journey is 22 minutes. His rent has increased once in 3 years by 3.1%. His property is managed by a private landlord who owns 2 flats and reviews rent based on the relationship rather than the market. James did not get lucky. He ran the location velocity calculation before he signed. He mapped every available property against its historical rent review rate. He chose the lowest velocity option within a reasonable commute. One decision, made once,
compounding in his favour every year since. Emma's location is compounding against her. She does not know there was a choice to make. Emma's landlord reviewed her rent in January. He had the previous 12 months of local market data. He had a property management software subscription that showed him comparable rents within half a mile updated weekly. He had a clause in Emma's tenancy that allowed him to review annually. He prepared for the conversation in November. Emma received the letter in January. She had 72 hours to respond. She accepted the increase. She did not know she could negotiate. She did not know that 41% of private rent review increases in the UK are successfully negotiated down by tenants who respond in writing with a specific counteroffer within the notice period. She did not know that landlords who receive no response almost never withdraw a review.
She did not know that landlords who receive a written counter offer citing comparable local rents accept a lower figure in over a third of cases. Emma accepted 4 years of rent increases without a single negotiation attempt. Her employer reviews her salary once per year. She has 2 minutes of awkward conversation and accepts whatever she is offered. Her landlord reviews her rent once per year.
He prepares for 2 months and brings data. This is the negotiation asymmetry. One side of Emma's financial life, the side that takes money from her, negotiates every year with preparation, data and leverage. The other side, the side that gives money to her, is reviewed once per year in a conversation she enters with no preparation and no data. James negotiates both sides. In February, he prepares his employer case, real raised number, market comparables for his role, documented performance contributions. In November, he prepares his tenancy case, comparable local rents, maintenance record, tenure value to the landlord. He has successfully negotiated his rent increase down in 2 of the 3 reviews he has faced. He has achieved above the real raised number in both of his employer reviews. He does not do this because he is confrontational. He does it because he understood something Emma has never been told. Both negotiations are happening every year, whether you participate or not. The question is only whether you participate on one side or both. Emma participates on neither. She accepts whatever arrives.
We are not here to make you angry at your landlord or your employer. We are here to show you the 4 calculations so you can make different decisions with them. The rent velocity gap is real and it is running. But velocity is not fixed. Location choice, landlord type, and tenancy clauses are all variables you control at signing. The best time to reduce your rent velocity is before you sign.
The second best time is the next review notice you receive. The raise illusion is real and it is running, but the real raise number is calculable. Run it 6 weeks before your review. Know your number before the conversation. You do not need to be aggressive. You need to be informed. The location trap is real, but location is a decision you make again every time you move. The velocity calculation takes 40 minutes with a spreadsheet and publicly available rental data. Emma has never made it. James made it once. The negotiation asymmetry is the most important of the four, because addressing it does not require moving house or changing jobs. It requires 2 written responses per year. 1 to your landlord, 1 to your employer, both based on data rather than hope. These are not lifestyle changes, they are calculations Emma has never been told to run. Emma will receive another pay review next April. Her employer will offer her 2%. She will feel briefly that things are moving in the right direction. She will receive the rent review letter 6 weeks later, and the gap will reappear. Not because Emma is failing, because nobody showed her the 4 calculations that determine whether a raise is progress or managed decline dressed in the language of reward. You have been receiving raises that were not raises. You have been staying in locations that were quietly compounding against you. You have been accepting both sides of a negotiation that was happening whether you participated or not. That is not a spending problem. That is not a discipline problem. That is 4 calculations nobody ran for you. Now you know they exist. Now you can run them. And running them just once changes every financial decision that follows. Run the calculation. Take your last raise percentage. Subtract your last rent increase percentage. Subtract your marginal tax rate impact. Subtract last year's average cost increase on your fixed bills. That is your real raise number. If it is negative, you did not receive a raise. You received a managed decline with a percentage attached to it. If this video names something you have felt but never been able to calculate there is a calculator linked in the description that runs all 4 gaps for you automatically. Subscribe, the next one goes deeper.